I'm Bishop.
And I'm Dr. Steph.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of Our Life, Our Journey,
Our Truth.
And we're so excited to have you connected today, and always a joy to have you on this platform every single week. We appreciate the opportunity to pour into you. It means a lot to us to be able to just pour into you. We see the results. People text us, they communicate.
Comment,
oh my God.
They send questions, and then they see us, and when they do see us in person, they're like, oh my gosh, I was looking at this show. I do have a question for you though. What about this topic? And so we get a lot of our, or at least recently, getting a lot of our topics from you guys. So please continue to chime in and show your love and just let us know what you're thinking.
No doubt about it, man. So we're grateful and thankful to God just for that, and thankful for all of you for just being connected. It means a lot to us. And thank you so much for just supporting this channel. And of course, make sure you like, comment, make sure you
subscribe and share with your friends and family, and make sure that they subscribe and encourage them to send it to other people as well.
Yeah, that's important to us, and we appreciate you doing that. Follow her, Steph Walker, on Instagram, on Facebook, all that. Follow me at Joseph Walker 3, and also go to josephwalker3.org. Get our book, get our merch, all that good stuff that can be a blessing to you. Everybody needs a copy of Becoming a Couple of Destiny.
Yes.
We're going to reference some of that today, I promise you. So make sure you get your copy of that. So we're grateful, thankful to God, and you know what? Every relationship has moments, signposts, that make the relationship what it is.
Yes.
And I think that when you look at a relationship, you look at marriage, you look at a relationship, there are always several seasons of it, and there are seasons that happen prior to it. Those preparatory seasons
are just as important.
Just as important. Lessons you learned along the way.
Yeah.
There are lessons I learned, lessons you learned, things that occurred that made me come to the place where I was able to receive the gift that God had.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
And if you downplay those seasons, those seasons, though they may have been painful, they really position you.
Yes.
Because had you just, not had the pain be that real to you, you might have walked into something deceptively,
or stayed in something
and missed what God
had truly in store for you. Lord Jesus.
How about that?
Yeah, you just preached the whole sermon right there.
God.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. And so I think that when you think about that, let's talk about those moments that made us. Those preparatory moments, right? Those moments when you realize we were in this interesting place prior to meeting each other. I call it the place of resignation, relational resignation. That place when you say, God, if it's gonna happen, you gotta do it because I'm done trying. I think there are things that pushed us to that place.
Yeah.
The jungle of dysfunctional relationships, people who never could understand us, and you get frustrated making investments in the people that do not have the capacity and or willingness to even reciprocate.
Yeah.
And it leaves you in this place where you're like, okay, God, I'm fine, I'm good, whatever you have for me, I'm just going to resign my intentions and let you bring it to me.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
And I think those are those marvelous seasons that position you for the gift that God has for your life.
But then at the same time, you're taking lessons from all of those relationships to build upon who you are in terms of what you want. Now you know what you want, what you don't want, what you'll tolerate, what you won't tolerate. So again, like you said, like you have to go through those. And I think that's healthy. But I think, if you're in that season where you are waiting for God to send you that special person in your life, it's okay. When you are no longer in a specific situation, don't just throw it in the garbage. Look back on that, reflect on that. Lord, what was I supposed to learn from that? What was I supposed to take away from that? How am I supposed to grow from that? What am I supposed to take with me? What am I supposed to leave behind, right? Because in various relationships, I learned, I had this mentality. What I didn't actually know that I had this mentality that consistency and like a slow pace was boring, and I didn't necessarily like the person in my life at the time who just kept doing the same thing. I found it very mundane. But then you realize that that's like consistency and it's predictability and it's safety and it's like not a bad thing. When you're young, you're like, I want the hot, fiery, firecracker. And then those people aren't reliable, and they're crazy, whatever. And so, like, being mindful of that, I had relationships that opened me up to the idea of um, moving to various locations that I would have never considered. I would have never considered moving down to Nashville had that not been placed in my spirit early from another relationship. I had a relationship where I was giving up on this idea of, qualified men out there who could hold it down the way that I felt like I was holding it down, or I met someone who was fantastic and was doing great things. We weren't a good match. And this is the thing, just because someone is not a good match doesn't make them a bad
That's
person,
correct.
right? And so even though it wasn't a good match and we're still friends today, like, it wasn't a good match in that way, but it showed me, hey, God is reminding me that there are good people out there.
Yeah.
So it left me in a place where I could remain open and willing to engage in relationships and trust again, as opposed to feeling like everyone's going to burn you, everyone's going to lie to you, everybody's trifling, everybody's a loser, like whatever. And so there's many more examples, but I think those are the main ones that when I got tired of dating and being in relationships, I literally fell to my knees and was like, Lord, I give up.
Mm.
Like, I would rather be by myself than waste another minute, hour, day, a night, a date with someone who's not going to be that person for me. Like, I'd rather read a book, grab some popcorn, watch some more Grey's Anatomy, like anything, than waste my time and like mess with my psyche. Um, but this time I meant it. I mean, there are times that I had said that before, but then, 2 days later I would take the reins back and start driving that vehicle again. But this time when I said it, I really was resigned and okay with the idea of being by myself. And perhaps if that's what God chose for me to not get married, and I was okay with who I was and who I was projecting that I would be in the future, because I was a young doctor still. And I mean, I loved myself and I was good with it. And I think that resignation of being okay with where you are is a huge part of being able to connect with someone that's meaningful.
You just said a mouthful, girl. I mean, you said a mouthful. I know some of y'all were like, keep talking, keep talking. No, I mean, that's just so real, right? And I think that even like when you come out of those preparatory stages, you learn those lessons, which I think are critical and they're important. I think it is also just as important to be sensitive to how your current relationship is evolving and growing. It's important to understand this word. The reason why we wrote "Becoming a Couple of Destiny," it's really about think about the two words in that book. Destiny is God brings people together for purposes greater than themselves. Destiny. But people often forget the becoming. It is a constant, yes, growing and evolving and learning. And often, the reality is that women get there much quicker than men. I mean, it's just the facts. I own it. Yeah, and we have to evolve and grow and catch up. It's just the way it is. And
it's okay.
It's okay, but I do think there are significant moments in a relationship, in a marriage, that you realize, wow, we're getting there, we're turning these corners. It's not always about, you have to look at all the bad things that happen, that there are significant moments when you say, this happened and this really caused a shift, and I could feel it. A seismic shift in our marriage and our relationship. And there have been several, I think, that have, really helped pivot us in those areas. I think that's been, one, the birth of our children. Jeez, I think, uh, and I think Giovanni being our first child, Joseph completing like that birth did something like that.
What did it do?
Yeah, I think so. Having a daughter for me was thinking about, okay, everything she's understanding about men is going to come from me. how I treat her mother, how she knows she's going to be treated. So that part, first child, love, but you're just like not really focused so much on the marriage as you are being a parent.
True.
Second child comes, Joseph, then it's the son. It's your namesake. Now you're thinking respectfully, you're thinking generational. You're thinking, this is like your legacy, your name. So now he's got to watch how you treat his mother. And you have to model and position yourself as a man, because your family is only going to go where you take them. So when Joseph is born, the pivot for me began to happen. And I began to hear, she'd been saying for years about, prioritizing the family. And I'm like locked into, focusing, trying to balance ministry, doing all these different things. And wasn't that in my heart? I didn't feel like I was prioritizing. But I mean, like squarely, like locked in like I am now. I think that Joseph's birth, a few years after that, when he started growing, we started seeing, I think that was a pivotal moment for me about what it meant to like wrap my arms around the reality that this is the core four we talked about the episode. This is when it began to happen for me. I don't know why
I think
it triggers that way.
Like when you realized that you were a necessary part of
that was because I asked you.
Yeah, I think like we.
Oh yeah, tell you.
We were driving down the street.
Yeah.
Joseph was in the back. Little Joseph was in the back seat. Big Joseph was in the front seat. We were driving down the 2-lane street near our home. Little Joseph was in the back crying. I reached behind me. I'm in the driver's seat. I reached behind me to give him something. And I kept my hand on the steering wheel. Meanwhile, I'm in this big old giant truck. And I turned the wheel, not to my knowing, but as I was turning around, I was turning the wheel. And I turned around and looked at him. And when I looked up, I was heading off the road.
Yeah, for real.
And Big Joseph was grabbing the wheel and shifting us to get us back on the road. And like literally, he just saved our lives in like half a second. And I turned to him after catching our breath and like getting our composure back. And I said, "Do you see? We need you."
Yeah.
And literally from that day forward, he was a completely different person.
Yeah.
Because I think that at some point you thought, they don't need me because Steph is like doing everything.
Yeah, and that's a real deal.
Do they actually need me?
And that's a real deal. And that's something perhaps men are dealing with out there. Sometimes maybe the feeling of not being needed. They want mommy, and mommy's got this, mommy's super mom. And so you realize, wow, am I really needed? And I made my contribution and I should go on into the wilderness, you know what I'm saying? like the male lion, you know?
Yeah.
But that, and you kept saying it to me. We need you.
I realized that resonated and did something to you.
Yeah.
And then it made me think back in my mind, how many times did I say something where I didn't mean to, but that it implied that he wasn't needed?
Yeah.
How many times did I say, I got this, you're good, go on?
Yeah.
How many times did I just do it myself?
Yeah.
How many times did I include him at the last minute, like, oh, we're going here, but you can come along too if you want. You know what I mean? Like, how many times not knowing that he needed to be needed? I didn't know that. For years, I didn't know that.
Wow. Y'all hear that? That's a real deal. That is that's a watershed moment. That was a watershed moment.
And it changed the way that I spoke. It changed the way that I operated. It changed the way that I would tell the kids, make sure you go get daddy. Or, they get ready to tell me something. I'd be like, no, let daddy know first. And you guys come surprise me. Or let's do this for dad. Or, whatever. Just making sure that we were super inclusive. And I take some responsibility for that attitude in the sense that I've always been very
Mama bear.
Independent. And like, if I see that you're not doing it, I'm not going to beg you. I'm just going to do it myself. But like in a relationship, you have to, you
Gotta
have
include.
to be inclusive, and you have to be open, and you don't have to be superwoman and do it all. And sometimes you feel like well, if I don't do it, who's going to do it? Well, maybe you're the only one doing it because you haven't asked for help. Like, they're not mind readers,
Yeah.
right? Like, he wanted to be helpful. He just didn't know how, right? So, and sometimes he knows how and just doesn't want to do it nowadays. But I'm just saying, like, then he wanted to be helpful and didn't know how.
Wow.
I love you.
No, I love you too. That's man, say less on that one. That was great. That was great. And I think every relationship, right? We go through these moments where you realize this is a pivotal moment. You learn a lot. You learn things. I learn things. We learn things about each other. And these are important. I think one of the pivotal moments, I think in our relationship and helping me to love you and understand you were, I didn't realize the depth of the struggle you had with, obviously when you retired, yes, amen. And that's to God be the glory.
To God be the glory, yes.
But, finding a sense of value and purpose in life and working through that and feeling affirmed and secure in that, and what that meant, the words of affirmation and what that meant to us to notice what you did.
I think because I had grown up, my parents built a business together. My mom was the ideator and my dad was a supporter, and they built and they grew together. And for me, in my mind, as a physician, I knew that I was and I assumed that I would be the breadwinner of whatever family I chose to be a part of. And so when God blessed me with the ability to retire, that comes with a financial result. Like, it didn't impact our family at all, clearly, but my sense of bringing something to the table, right? Obviously, I had another business on the side. So, like, I was still bringing in income, but like, that was a huge part of my identity. So I had to struggle with, okay, I'm doing this, but who do I call myself now? What do I say? What am I doing? And like
the whole elevator speech.
the whole elevator
Who are you?
speech.
What do you do?
Let me explain it to you. How much time do you have? Like, I do all these things, right? But like, not being comfortable because you're so used to defining yourself as X, Y, or Z. And you really helped me with that.
I mean, I think that was a moment because I knew that was a significant thing for you, because it was important for you to know that your value in what you brought to the family, bring to the family, is so incredibly important. That we could not be who we are without that. You know what I mean? Watching you, I think that's the deal, right? It's that moment. Jesus says something that, he that hath an ear, let him hear. Being able to listen intently to the person, but also being able to observe. Like, to be spiritual enough to observe what your partner needs in that moment. And for me, I think that was a pivotal moment because I saw you come alive when you began to realize you were affirmed and appreciated. And that's important.
And that what I was doing was valued. Because what was valued before was very different. Because I was doing something different. And wondering, would I be valued in this new role?
And you know what was funny? Honestly, like, talk about evolution. I really did not truly value it until I got myself involved more and started taking on some of that. And I was like, you do all this?
He'd come home, he'd be tired
and
exhausted.
Where your crown,
wait
girl?
a minute, I can't. What do you mean you need me to do this, that, and this, that, and that?
What are you?
I do that every day. What do you mean you do that? Yeah, this is what we do every day. Like, this is the routine.
You don't have empathy if you don't know. And for me, it was experiencing it myself.
And COVID showed you.
COVID, yes.
Because you were home as opposed to traveling.
COVID.
And he was like, I could see him walking through the house just kind of staring like, this what y'all do? Like, you do that too? Like, what do you mean? Like, it's not
Yep, you
like,
go.
and then in my mind, I was like,
He's gone.
did you think it was magic?
Yeah.
Like, do you think it just poof, like it's like if something magically picks it up or magically does this? Or like, how do you think it happened? Like, it's not magic. Someone actually has to do it, you know?
Yeah. Man, that's amazing. To me, I think what this is about, this conversation is about, and there's a variety of other things we talk about. It's really about just continuing to grow and learn and knowing that when those moments occur, use them as catalysts to propel you to a different place. We're in such a sweet spot in our relationship. It's not something we just put on for the camera. We talk about this all the time behind the camera. Like we do this because it's from an authentic place. And it's because we've learned these moments are so critical. And it helps us. Doing this is a pivotal moment for our relationship because it allows us to see a greater purpose in pouring out to you. So
and greater purpose in some of our experience and some of the things that we've had to go through too. But I also think it's like just being perceptive.
Yeah, that is.
And just paying attention, right? Sometimes we move so fast through life, through our relationships, and we're taking each other for granted that we don't take notice of small shifts or changes or postures or, inflections in speech or, attitudes or what have you. And like being able to be so close to one another now, like we don't even have to argue about it for me to know that he's bothered by it or to know that he's excited or you're happy about something, you know what I mean? And like being in a place and space that I'm so comfortable with myself that I can honor him more, that I can allow myself to get smaller to allow him to get bigger. And he allows himself to get smaller and allow me to get bigger in other areas as well. It's like it's symbiotic. You don't always have to overshadow someone. You can step behind and push them forward with whatever you have, whether it's encouragement, whether it's support, whether it's with ideation or what have you. And he does the same for me, like being so intertwined that we finish each other's sentences, that we, can go in two separate rooms and come together. Oh my gosh, I have a great idea. And it's the same exact idea. Like I just feel like you said, that we're in a sweet spot, but it was a journey, not an event.
Better believe it.
And we're still becoming. But it's also because we're open. And that I'm trying to help you be your best person. You're trying to help me be my best person. And I know it. And I believe it. And then, so that if you are asking me to do something or, perhaps, I asked you for a critique and you critique something that I'm doing, or something that I'm creating, I know that it's coming from a good place because you're trying to help me get to the next level, and me vice versa. I might come into the office and say, honey, he knows that's a warning. I'm coming. Like, have you thought about blah, blah, blah? And he knows that it's coming from a really good place.
Yeah. So, man, wow, this has been a good one, babe. I love it. I hope it has blessed you. We want to hear your comments. Make sure you send us some comments. Let us know your thoughts. What were the moments? What were the moments in your relationship that you felt were catalysts that propel you to where you need to be? What lessons did you learn along the way? Maybe it'll help somebody else. Let's start the conversation in the comment section.
Or maybe you have a question. Feel free to jot it down below.
To know that. So make sure, again, you follow Dr. Steph at Dr. Steph Walker. Follow me at Joseph Walker 3. We appreciate you so much for tuning in. Go to josephwalker3.org for our merch and our books. Get that book, Becoming a Couple of Destiny. Go get it right now. It'll bless your life. We appreciate you so much. And listen, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Bishop.
And I'm Dr. Steph.